Good evening, everyone. I have a special video for you guys today, and this video is going to show you how they hide the ice wall from the tourists who actually take a tour to supposedly Antarctica. And there's only two tour routes from two different countries, and you're going to be amazed. Once I went to the original flat earth map from 1892, it was easy to figure out how they do it. I'm going to show you guys. Enjoy the video.
Okay, here we have the flight and cruise route for a tour to Antarctica from Planet Janet Travels. Let me zoom in on that a little better where you guys can see it. There we go. Okay, now let's switch over to this map of the route so you can see the names. It leaves out of Cape Horn, goes past the South Shetland Islands along the Antarctic tail and then back up. Now this right here would be the South Shetland Islands on Google Maps. And then of course there's the little tail of Antarctica. There's a panned out view for you guys to see it a little better. But pay attention to the tail of that Antarctica. It's going to be really important in a minute. Here's another view of the route. See how it goes along the edge of that tail and then they turn around and they go back? Okay, now here's where things get interesting. Let's look at the 1892 flat earth map. Now, this right here is South America. So let's zoom in here where you guys can see this. Now here's the route. There's Cape Horn, where they leave from. And as you can see right down below that, you have the South Shetland Islands. Okay, and then you have the ice wall, of course. But notice this little tail right here. Well, that's the same tail that you see on the continent Antarctica that they show you on the globe, which is pretty slick. But anyways, this little part right here, this is the little area that they travel along and call it the Antarctica, which is only a tiny little bit. So the route goes this way. It goes through the Shetland Islands, comes down through here, past these little islands, then turns around and goes back to Cape Horn. And if you'll notice on this map how the ice wall looks, well, down here where they supposedly tour at, this is the only part of the little ice wall that sticks out in that area. So you'd be stationed there working or take a tour and you would never really see the ice wall. You only see that little piece of it that sticks out because of the rest of Antarctica is off limits. Now let's have a look at the only other tour that you can take to Antarctica, which goes from South New Zealand and back to Tasmania. Now notice, I want you to pay attention to that little Stewart Island there as you leave New Zealand. Notice they go down here to what they call Commonwealth Bay, and then they cruise along a little bit, turn around and go back to Tasmania. Okay, now let's have a look at that route on the flat earth map. Here we have South New Zealand, and notice right there on the other side of it, you see that little Stewart Island that I was telling you guys to look at on the Google map. Okay, so the route leaves here, goes down here, which on this flat earth map it says Disappointment Bay. Remember on the Google Earth map it says Commonwealth Bay, and then they go back, return to Tasmania. So anyways, like I said, they leave here, go along this little bitty tiny bulge that sticks out from the ice wall called Commonwealth Bay, Disappointment Bay, whatever. Notice it's the only part in the ice wall except for the other part that I showed you that bulges out away from the ice wall. So anyways, they go down through here, cruise along a little bit, and then return back to Tasmania. That way you never see the ice wall. You only see that little bulge of it that's sticking out there out of this whole map. Most of this wall is cut out perfectly all the way around except for those two little spots. And they both bulge out, and then they're at the exact same spot at the bottom of both of those countries, just like it shows you on Google Maps.
Now, as you can see, it's really simple how they pull it off, making you believe that Antarctica is a continent when it's not. That's why it's called the Antarctic Circle, because it's an ice wall, a circled ice wall all the way around the whole world. And I've had a lot of people say, well, I've had friends that worked there and they didn't see any ice wall, well, or were stationed there actually, and I'm sure they were stationed there, but they were only stationed in those two little bitty areas that I just showed you. And that's also the only two little areas that you can take a tour to. And the rest of, and I say this in quote when I say Antarctica, is restricted, off limits to the public, to anybody. And that's due to the 1958 Antarctic Treaty. That's because they have something to hide. They know if you went anywhere other than those two spots, you would realize that you're on an ice wall. And even a lot of flat earthers, a lot of my friends of mine always wondered, well, how do they pull it off? How do people not know? And that's exactly how, the way that I just showed you.
If the ice wall circles an entire flat plain, how can the elites possibly monitor every mile of the perimeter to keep anyone from getting access? Well, Jeff, and everybody else who's asking, that's really simple. I'm going to explain it to you guys really quick, okay? Check this out. Now, what you have to understand is this is a naval ice patrol ship. It's also an icebreaker. It can get through places no other ship can go, and even if it tried, it would be crushed into a million pieces, okay? This ship is designed to cut through the ice and come and find you. It has a sensor on it. You also have buoys on the ocean that have been there for a long time. I think maybe even all the way back to maybe World War II. But anyways, check this out. Even if you can go under the radar of the Navy, they have these buoys that set off signals that will notify that icebreaker, and he will come and capture you quicker than anybody else can get there. That's his job. That's what that ship's made to do. It can break through that ice and find you very quickly. There are not any other Navy battleships that can do that. We got some tough battleships, but only a few ships hide behind this ice and wait for you to get there. Now, check this out. Here is a Google diagram of how it works, but you got to cut out the satellite because those aren't real. It's just simple towers. The buoys are like towers on the ocean because the ocean is flat, so they send a signal to each one. And as soon as that signal goes off, when the waves get just a little bit rough, they know exactly where you are. And if you've ever seen a Navy radar, you would know that. Look at it. It's a flat, round disc. Shows the whole Earth. Now, I'm going to show you guys something. They even show you how they can find you without using radar. They hit it in the movie. Check this out.
Pearl Harbor here. We're approximately here. And they, whatever they are somewhere in the middle. We're trapped out here. What we know right now is we can't target them unless we have a plain line of sight. Without radar, we have no way to track them, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they can't see us and we can't see them. And we have no way to hit them from a safe distance.
There is a way.
A way?
A way of seeing them without seeing them.
You're going to reference Art of War right now, aren't you? What are we supposed to do? Fight the enemy where they aren't? Move like water?
My way is much more simple. We've been doing it to America for 20 years. Water displacement.
How do you track water displacement?
Tsunami buoys.
Tsunami buoys.
You have them surrounding your islands, transmitting displacement data. We hack into their transmissions, form a grid.
You can't track anything without radar.
I don't need radar. Just the radio frequencies. Turn off Aegis radar, please.
Who is this guy?
Chief Moore.
Sir.
Secure spy.
Secure spy, sir.
Display NOAA data.
NOAA data.
That's correct.
You heard him. Display NOAA data.
The hell is that?
It's a buoy. If it gets hit by a wave, it transmits a signal.
Bring up chart plot.
Chart plot. Bring it up.
So we can track without radar. We would practice it as a contingency plan.
Dirty, cheating, sneaky.
Rough world.
I like it. Captain.
Like I said, the buoys are like towers. They give off a signal, people. So no matter where you are on that ocean, they know exactly where you are. Now what you are looking at here are the logos of the 5 government agencies that control our so-called globe, our so-called spinning ball. Now before we identify the logos, let's have a look at this map that hangs on my living room wall. And this map is the Gleason World Map from 1892, number 6 from the Boston Public Library. Okay, and as you can see here, it was published in the Buffalo Electrotype Engraving Company in New York. All right, and as you can see here, it's scientifically and practically correct as it is. Okay, now back to the logos. Here we have the International Maritime Organization, which basically controls our waterways, all of our waterways, how far out we can go into the ocean, territorial boundaries. Okay, so now let's have a deep look into their logo. Now, isn't it awful funny that the people who control how far we can go out in the water have a flat earth map with an ice wall as their logo? Okay, anyways, here we go. The International Civil Aviation Organization. Now, this is the government agency that controls our airways, how far we can fly and where we can fly. And once you fly out too far south, they're going to turn you around. But anyways, let's check out their logo. Okay, as you can see here, hidden in their logo, the agency that controls our airways has the flat earth map with the ice wall around it, hidden right in it. Okay, now here we have the World Meteorological Organization, which basically they control all the mainstream media information we get about storms, hurricanes, and all that good stuff. So, anyways, let's check out what's hidden in their logo. The flat earth map. Okay, now here we have the World Health Organization. Now this organization controls all the mainstream media news that we hear about, like COVID-19, Ebola, or any other kind of pandemics going on in the world. But let's have a look at what's hidden in their logo. And as you can see here, the flat earth map with the ice wall around it. Okay, now last but not least, we have the United Nations, which basically control everything, control all the militaries in the world, all of the treaties that are signed in the world. These people control this. And I think it's awful funny that if you look in their flag, they have the flat earth map in their flag. Into their General Assembly Hall where they hold all their meetings and sign all their treaties, guess what's on the wall right up above them? The flat earth map. Now this all could be just coincidence, but I don't think so. If you look at any map before 1958, it shows a flat earth with an ice wall around it. And all the government agencies that control our airways and our waterways have the flat earth map with the ice wall in their logo. Okay? Now, if you were to try to get in a private plane or on a private boat and try to get too far south to try to find this ice wall, here's what's going to happen. The Navy's going to show up in a battleship or a jet fighter and turn you around and escort you out of the area. Now, let's watch and see what happens when a private boat or a private jet gets too far south.
80 degrees south, that is. Now, these guys are nowhere near the ice wall, but here's what happens when you get too far south.
Hey, it's a Navy destroyer. He will yield. He'd be thinking, that cheeky better not cross my bow. Stop, Josh. They take it seriously.
What did they say?
You got to yield. You can't just fucking. They think you're going to charge them.
We don't know for sure, but I think they did say something. No, they did.
They come back last quarter. Yeah, fucking talk to them.
Actually going around. He's turning. Stop. He's turning. He is actually turning.
He said we had to shoot yesterday.
No, he is turning. Fucking hell, what have we done now? It's turning, Josh. Just sit still.
He's slowed down, has he?
Yeah, he's really slowed down. No doubt we were in trouble.
What for?
It's coming to us.
He's coming to us.
He's got the shits because...
By port now. This is Washington Hobart, channel 16, over.
1-6.
Yeah, we got you, mate. It's bad boys. Did he come back?
Gotta go channel 16. No.
Hobart, you are in a maritime exclusion area. Please record your intention.
Who the fuck's that?
We're heading to the shelf to go...
No, just say we're out fishing. Heading out fishing. No, we're just heading out fishing.
He's out, boys. They get
We're going that way.
We're just traversing. Is
there a helicopter coming at us now? Are we late? I don't know. What
Just travel, just go.
Just go.
He's seen out the chopper.
That's a drone.
Is it?
That's unreal.
Getting set up a demo today with this Cessna and the Air National Guard. I'm going to be inside of this Cessna and we're going to be going rogue. We're going to fly into that no-fly zone and we're going to see how the Air National Guard does it. They scramble the fighter jets that come
Take off. We're off.
flying for miles and miles until...
Okay, we've just entered the no-fly zone now.
Our pilots aren't talking to air traffic control, ignoring their calls to reach them. That triggers an alarm at the Air National Guard base. These fighter pilots scrambling to their jets. They're on alert and ready to take action 24 hours a day. Today, racing to their F-16s, suiting up, climbing on board, and rushing to the runway. Taking off to intercept our rogue Cessna. Reaching the target in just minutes. This is the view from the F-16. That's my Cessna right there.
Intimidating as you would think it would be. Look at that fighter jet. He's right off our wing.
Another F-16 swooping in on the right, calling us on aviation frequencies.
You have been intercepted. If you hear this transmission, acknowledge the radio call and rock your wing.
He wants us to identify ourselves. We're a rogue aircraft, remember, for this demonstration, so we're not going to respond at all and see what this fighter
You
jet
are ordered to turn to the northwest.
The fighter jet giving us one last warning. After all of this, the pilots still won't listen. The plane won't leave the airspace. Will you shoot them down?
If required, we'll execute the rules of engagement per the commander of the North American Aerospace Defense Command. And yes, we would do that.
Shoot the plane down.
If it meets the rules of engagement, yes, we would, to defend the airspace.
Entering restricted airspace. You are ordered to turn west immediately. If you do not follow these instructions, you may be fired upon.
Now, just in case you're not awake yet, the reason these government agencies have the flat earth in their logo is because they know where we live. And they get paid to protect that edge if you ever try to go there.